I love someone else, he said. 4 words that shattered her world in a 68-degree conference room. She walked away with her dignity intact, unaware she was carrying his twins. 3 years of silence, 3 years of building a life from nothing. Then he saw them at the zoo. 2 boys with his eyes, and everything he'd chosen over her came crashing down. Welcome, beautiful souls, to a story about strength, sacrifice, and the complicated paths we walk toward healing. Before Iris's journey unfolds, I want to invite you to become part of our community. If this story speaks to you even in these first moments, a like and subscribe would mean the world and helps us bring more stories like this to life. May you find in Iris's resilience a mirror of your own strength, and may her journey remind you that sometimes the life we build from broken pieces becomes more beautiful than anything we'd planned. Now, let's step into her world. The conference room smelled like bergamot and printer toner. Afternoon sun cut across the floor in pale rectangles, stopping just short of where Iris Dempsey sat, her hands folded on the walnut table. The air conditioning maintained exactly 68 degrees. She could hear it, the near-silent hum that cost shareholders $3 million annually in energy optimization. I love someone else. 4 words. Gabriel Rourke's voice carried no inflection. He might have been reading quarterly earnings. Iris watched his mouth form the sounds, watched the way his jaw tensed slightly on else. A micro-movement she'd cataloged over 3 years of proximity. For 3 years of late nights in his corner office. 3 years of learning that he took his coffee at 6 a.m., black, in a cup that had belonged to his grandfather. 3 years of becoming indispensable. The sun shifted. Now it hit the toe of her left shoe. Italian leather, tobacco brown, purchased because he'd once mentioned he found black too severe on women. I see, she said. Her voice came out level. Good. She focused on the grain of the table, tracing a whorl with her eyes. Someone had oiled the wood recently. She could smell the linseed underneath the bergamot. The building was 73 stories tall. This room sat on 71. Below them, the city moved. Taxis, food carts, people who didn't know that Gabriel Rourke was ending something that had never officially begun. Iris. He shifted his weight. She didn't look up. You understand the position this puts me in. Now she did look. His eyes were the color of smoke over water, gray-blue, the kind of eyes that photographers loved. He'd been on the cover of Forbes twice. Both times they'd touched up the small scar near his temple. A childhood fall, he'd told her once, from a marble staircase in his family's Newport house. She'd never been to that house, had never been invited. What position? She's asked. The board. Is unaware that you've been fucking your chief of staff. The word landed between them. She watched him flinch, barely, just a tightening around his eyes. That's not... No, you're right. We haven't fucked. We've maintained a strictly professional relationship punctuated by approximately 17 instances of what one might call emotional intimacy. Do you need me to enumerate them? The air conditioning cycled. A barely perceptible click, then the hum continued. Gabriel stood. He moved to the window, hands in his pockets. Savile row suit, charcoal gray, the fabric so fine it draped without a single pull or pucker. She'd picked it up from the tailor herself last month, had signed for it, had carried it to his office and hung it in the closet where he kept 4 other suits, 2 pairs of shoes, and a cashmere scarf his mother had given him. Vanessa and I, he said, facing the glass. It's complicated. Vanessa Kincaid, daughter of Howard Kincaid, chairman of the board. Yes. Iris stood. Her chair made no sound against the carpet. Something Scandinavian, woven by hand, threads so dense that stiletto heels left no impression. She'd tested it once, deliberately, I grinding her heel into the pile near the door. Nothing. The building absorbed everything. When's the wedding? He turned. June. Christ, Iris. Do you need me to organize it? I'm very good at event planning. Excellent references. Don't. Don't what? Don't make this easy for you? Would you prefer I cry? She walked to the sideboard, poured water from a carafe into a glass. Crystal she knew, though not the expensive kind. He preferred the weight of it, the way it felt substantial without being ostentatious. She drank. The water was exactly cold, exactly neutral. They had a filtration system that cost more than her annual salary. I've already drafted my resignation, she said. I'll submit it tomorrow. 2 weeks' notice is standard, but given the circumstances, I imagine you'll want me gone sooner. Iris, you don't have to. Yes, she said, I do. She set the glass down. It made a small sound, crystal on marble. Outside, a helicopter passed. The vibration reached them through 71 floors of steel and concrete, a subtle tremor in the soles of her feet. Gabriel crossed to her, close enough that she could smell his cologne, something custom, cedar and black pepper, made by a perfumer in Paris who took clients by appointment only. She'd made the appointment, had remembered his birthday, had arranged for the bottle to be delivered. I never meant to hurt you, he said. She looked at him. Really looked. The scar at his temple. The tiny asymmetry in his eyebrows where the left arched slightly higher. The small mole on his neck just above his collar. She'd memorized him. Had studied him the way cartographers study coastlines, eye-mapping every detail. You didn't, she said. You can't hurt someone you never actually had. She walked to the door. Her hand on the brushed nickel handle, German engineering, installed last year during the renovation, was steady. Behind her, Gabriel said her name. She didn't turn. The hallway stretched 30 feet to the elevator bank. Her heels made no sound. Everything here was designed to absorb, to cushion, to maintain the fiction that power moved silently. She pressed the call button. Waited. The numbers above the door descended. 73, 72, 71. The doors opened. She stepped in. Pressed L for lobby. The doors began to close, and through the narrowing gap she saw him, standing in the conference room doorway, one hand braced against the frame. He was watching her. She was watching him, watching her. Then the doors met, and she was alone with her reflection in the polished steel. 71 floors. Approximately 90 seconds of descent. She counted her breaths. In for 4, hold for 4, out for 4. A technique she'd learned in college, managing anxiety before presentations. Her face in the steel looked elongated, ghostly. She thought about how elevator mirrors were designed to be flattering, angled to slim the body. But this wasn't a mirror. Just polished metal. Just the truth of her, distorted. The lobby was all white marble and glass, 20-foot ceilings, a reception desk manned by 3 people who smiled in shifts, ensuring continuous coverage. Iris walked past them, past the security turnstiles, past the revolving door that moved at a precise, unhurried pace. Outside, the city hit her. Sound and smell and movement. A vendor selling pretzels, taxi horns, someone's cologne mixing with diesel exhaust. The sidewalk was crowded and she had to navigate, had to choose her path, had to move with intention instead of being moved through the frictionless corridors of Rourke and Associates. She walked 4 blocks before she stopped. There was a small park, really just a plaza with benches and a few trees held upright by cables. She sat. The bench was cold through her skirt. March in New York. The sun was bright, but the wind had teeth. A pigeon landed near her feet. It pecked at a piece of bread someone had left, walking in the jerky, mechanical way pigeons walk. She watched it, thought about how pigeons mate for life, mostly, unless something separates them. Then they just find someone else. Move on. The efficiency of it. Her phone buzzed. She pulled it from her bag. A text from Gabriel. "Please don't leave like this." She typed back, "How should I leave?" 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, "Can we talk? Dinner tonight?" She deleted his number, blocked it, put the phone away. The pigeon flew off. Iris sat there as the sun tracked west, as the shadows lengthened, as the temperature dropped degree by degree. She sat until her legs went numb, until she couldn't feel the cold anymore, until sitting became a kind of meditation, a way of proving to herself that she could be still in the chaos, that she could choose not to move. When she finally stood, her knees cracked. She was 29 years old, and her knees cracked like an old woman's. She walked home, a studio in Murray Hill, rent stabilized, the only piece of luck she'd ever caught in this city, and climbed the 4 flights because the elevator was broken again. Inside, she locked the door, put her bag on the kitchen counter, took off her shoes. Her feet ached. There was a blister forming on her left heel where the leather had rubbed. She ran a bath. The water took 7 minutes to get hot, then another 5 to fill the tub. She undressed, dropping her clothes on the tile. The bathroom was small enough that she could touch opposite walls if she stretched. The grout was stained gray no matter how much bleach she used. In the bath, she let herself sink until the water covered her ears. The world became muffled, just the sound of her own pulse, the small movements of water against porcelain. She stayed under until her lungs burned. Then she surfaced, gasping. That was the first time she cried. 6 weeks later, Iris stood in a bodega bathroom on Lexington Avenue, staring at 2 pink lines. The bathroom was barely large enough to turn around in. Someone had scratched "Fuck the patriarchy" into the paint above the toilet paper dispenser. The fluorescent light flickered, making her skin look greenish. She could hear the bodega owner yelling at someone in Korean. The smell of rotting fruit leaked under the door. She sat on the toilet lid, closed, and held the test in both hands. Plastic, white, and purple, designed to deliver information with maximum efficiency. Pregnant or not pregnant. Binary. Simple. She'd missed 1 period. Then 2. Had told herself it was stress. The job search wasn't going well. Her savings were depleting at a rate that made her check her bank account 3 times a day, eyes watching the numbers shrink. She'd had interviews, 6 of them, all at companies that competed with Rourke and Associates, all ending the same way. "We'll be in touch." They never were. Gabriel had reached out. Twice. Once through LinkedIn, a message that said, "I heard you're looking. I can make some calls," which she'd deleted. Once through her old work email, which she'd kept active out of some masochistic need to watch the building's internal communications continue without her. That message had said, "Please, let me help." She'd responded to neither. Now this. 2 pink lines. A second test, taken yesterday, had shown the same. A third, this morning. She'd bought them at 3 different pharmacies, as if changing locations might change the result. Someone banged on the door. "You gonna be all day?" Iris stood. Wrapped the test in toilet paper and shoved it in her bag. Unlocked the door. A woman in a postal service uniform pushed past her, already unzipping her pants. Outside, the city was moving into late spring. Trees blooming. People in lighter jackets. Iris walked without direction, letting the crowds carry her. She ended up in Central Park on a bench near the reservoir. Joggers passed in circuits, their faces set in expressions of disciplined suffering. She took out her phone, opened her contacts, scrolled to Mom. Her mother lived in Portland, worked as a nurse, had raised Iris alone after Iris's father left when Iris was 7. They spoke every Sunday, brief calls where her mother asked if Iris was eating enough and Iris lied and said yes. She pressed call. It rang 4 times. "Honey?" It's Wednesday. I know. Iris stopped, watched a jogger pass, ponytail swinging. Are you okay? You sound strange. I'm fine, The truth sat in her throat. Heavy. I'm thinking about leaving New York. Silence. Then, really? What brought this on? I think I need a change. Well, her mother's voice was carefully neutral. You're always welcome here, you know that. The guest room is yours. I know. Is something wrong? Did something happen with that job? No, yes. I left. A while ago. You left? Honey, why didn't you tell me? I don't know. Iris pressed her palm against her stomach. Flat. Nothing showing. I didn't want to worry you. Worrying is my job. Her mother paused. Come home. Take a break. Figure out what you want. Yeah, Iris said. Maybe I will. They talked for another 10 minutes. Her mother told her about a patient who'd brought her homemade cookies, about the neighbor's cat that kept getting into her garden. Normal things. Things that existed outside the gravity of Gabriel Rourke and Associates and the slow implosion of Iris's carefully constructed life. When she hung up, Iris sat there until the sun started to sink, until the joggers thinned, until a park's employee came by, telling everyone the park was closing. She went back to her apartment, looked around, at the furniture she'd bought piece by piece from IKEA and Craigslist, at the books stacked in corners because she had no shelf space, at the window that looked onto an air shaft, offering a view of brick and other people's bathroom windows. 3 days later, she gave notice on the apartment, sold everything that wouldn't fit in 2 suitcases, bought a one-way ticket to Portland. At JFK, sitting at the gate, she turned off her phone. When she turned it back on in Portland, there were 7 missed calls from Gabriel's office line. She deleted the voicemails without listening. Her mother picked her up in a Subaru that smelled like coffee and hand sanitizer. She hugged Iris hard, the kind of hug that said, I know something's wrong, but I won't push. They drove through the city, so much smaller than New York, so much quieter, and Iris watched the green blur past, trees everywhere, mountains in the distance. I'm pregnant, Iris said. Her mother didn't break, didn't gasp, just nodded, hand steady on the wheel. Okay, she said. Okay, we'll figure it out. I'm keeping it. Them. The doctor said, there might be 2. It's early, but twins run in our family, her mother said. I.e., your grandmother was a twin. I didn't know that. There's a lot you don't know. Her mother glanced at her. The father? Not in the picture. His choice or yours? Both. Her mother nodded again. Then we don't need him. They drove the rest of the way in silence. The house was small, a bungalow in a quiet neighborhood. Her mother had lived here for 15 years, had paid off the mortgage last year. The guest room had yellow walls and a double bed, and a window that looked onto a backyard where roses grew wild. Iris unpacked, hung her clothes in the closet, sat on the bed. Through the wall, she could hear her mother in the kitchen, making dinner. The sound of running water, cabinets opening and closing, normal sounds, home sounds. That night, lying in bed, Iris felt it for the first time. A flutter. So faint she almost thought she'd imagined it. She put her hand on her stomach and waited. There. Again. Like a butterfly trapped inside her. She was 11 weeks pregnant. The ultrasound had confirmed it. 2 heartbeats. 2 small shadows on the screen, curled together. The technician had asked if she wanted to know the sex, and Iris had said no, had said she wanted to be surprised. What she'd meant was, she wanted to delay all decisions as long as possible, wanted to exist in the liminal space where nothing was real yet, where she could still pretend this was happening to someone else. But here, in her mother's house, in the dark, with her hand on her stomach and that small flutter beneath her palm, this was real. This was hers. She fell asleep that way. one hand on her stomach, one hand reaching for nothing. The twins were born on a Thursday in December, snow falling outside the hospital windows. Iris had labored for 18 hours. Her mother had been there the whole time, holding her hand, wiping her forehead with a damp cloth. When the first baby came, a boy, 6 pounds 3 ounces, the doctor placed him on Iris's chest and she looked down at his face, purple and scrunched and furious, and thought, I don't know how to do this. The second baby came 12 minutes later. Another boy, 5 pounds 11 ounces. Smaller, quieter. He barely cried, just blinked up at Iris with eyes that would later turn the exact shade of gray-blue as Gabriel's. She named them herself. No phone calls, no consultations. The first boy who'd come out screaming, James. The second who'd been so quiet, Theodore. Jamie and Theo. Her sons. The hospital kept them for 3 days. Jaundice, they said. Normal for preemies, though the boys weren't technically premature, just small. Iris stayed in the hospital room, nursing them in shifts, learning to tell them apart. Jamie had a tiny birthmark on his left shoulder. Theo's ears stuck out slightly. Small differences that would become canyons as they grew. Her mother drove them home. Iris sat in the back between 2 car seats watching the boys sleep. They looked so fragile. Their skulls were still soft. Their skin was translucent. She could see the blue veins in their temples. You're going to be fine, her mother said, catching Iris's eye in the rearview mirror. I don't know what I'm doing. Nobody does. You just do it anyway. At home, her mother had set up 2 bassinets in the guest room, had stocked the house with diapers and formula and tiny clothes, had taken 2 weeks off work. She moved through the house with quiet efficiency, teaching Iris how to swaddle, how to burp, how to tell a hungry cry from a tired cry from a gas cry. The days blurred. Iris slept in 90-minute increments, woke to crying, nursed one baby while the other screamed, changed diapers, nursed again, put them down, waited for the crying to start. The house smelled like spit-up and diaper cream. Her breasts ached, her body ached, everything ached. 6 weeks in, her mother went back to work. Iris was alone with them, 2 tiny humans who needed her completely, who couldn't survive without her. The weight of it was crushing. She started walking, strapped the boys into a double stroller, a garage sale find. The fabric faded, but the wheels solid, and walked the neighborhood. Miles a day, her body rebuilding itself step by step. The boys slept better when they were moving, so she moved. Past houses with swing sets and minivans, past coffee shops and libraries, past playgrounds where other mothers gathered, their children running and laughing. She didn't approach them, didn't try to make friends, just walked. At night, when the boys were asleep, she looked for work, applied to admin positions, project management roles, anything remote, anything flexible. She had savings still, she'd been careful, had lived cheaply in New York before everything fell apart. But money bled away. Childcare would be impossible. Her mother helped when she could, but she worked 12-hour shifts. Iris needed something she could do from home. She found it 3 months after the boys were born. A consultant position with a startup. 15 hours a week, all remote, building operational frameworks. The pay was 1/3 of what she'd made at Rourke and Associates. She took it. The work was simple. Boring, even. Nothing like the high-stakes strategy sessions she'd led before, but she could do it while Jamie napped on her chest. Could take calls while Theo slept in the bassinet beside her desk. Could piece together an income from the fragments of her day. The boys grew, rolled over, sat up, crawled. Jamie was loud, demanding, constantly in motion. Theo was watchful, cautious, content to sit and observe. They were opposites in every way except their faces, which were mirrors of each other, mirrors of Gabriel. Iris didn't think about him. Refused to. When someone asked about the boy's father, she said he wasn't involved. End of conversation. She deleted her LinkedIn, stopped following any news about Rourke and Associates, cut that part of her life away cleanly, like excising a tumor. The boys turned 1, then 2. Iris's consulting work expanded. She took on more clients, built a reputation for being reliable, efficient, able to solve problems without drama. She worked early mornings and late nights, stealing hours from sleep. Her mother helped, but Iris felt the debt accumulating. Time owed, gratitude owed, the burden of having needed help at all. When the boys were 2.5, she told her mother she was looking for her own place. "You don't have to," her mother said. "There's room here." "I know, but I need—" Iris stopped. What did she need? I need to prove I can do this. You are doing it. Alone. Her mother looked at her. They were in the kitchen. The boys were in the living room, watching cartoons. Jamie was singing along. Theo was building a tower from blocks. "Is this about their father?" her mother asked. "No. Because you don't have to prove anything to him." I'm not." Iris turned away, started washing dishes. "I'm proving it to myself." She found a small house to rent on the east side. 2 bedrooms, a postage stamp yard, a landlord who didn't mind children. The rent was manageable if she was careful. She moved in on a Saturday. Her mother helped. They carried boxes while the boys toddled around the empty rooms, their voices echoing. That night, in the new house, Iris put the boys to bed in their shared room, read them a story, kissed their foreheads, but turned out the light, stood in the doorway watching them settle. Then she went to her own room, in her house, and sat on the floor. The walls were bare. She had a mattress on the floor and a lamp and nothing else. Outside, she could hear traffic, neighbors, the city sounds she'd gotten used to. She took out her laptop, opened a new document, stared at the blank screen. For 3 years she'd been surviving, keeping her head above water. But surviving wasn't enough anymore. She needed more, needed to build something, needed to prove that Gabriel Rourke hadn't broken her. She started typing. 6 months later, she launched her own firm, DM Consulting. Her initials, simple, clean. She specialized in operational efficiency for small businesses, companies too small for the Rourkes of the world to notice. She worked from home, set her own hours, charged rates that reflected her value. Her first client was a coffee roastery struggling with supply chain issues. She streamlined their ordering process, negotiated better contracts with suppliers, saved them 30% on costs. They referred her to a friend who owned a small bookstore, then another friend who ran a catering company. Word spread. The boys turned 3, started preschool. 3 mornings a week, Iris dropped them off and went to a coffee shop to work. Spent 3 hours in blessed silence, drinking coffee that someone else made, solving other people's problems. She was building something, slowly, carefully, a life that fit them, a life that worked. She didn't think about Gabriel, didn't wonder what he was doing, didn't check to see if he'd married Vanessa Kincaid, didn't care, or told herself she didn't. The email arrived on a Tuesday morning in March. Iris was at the coffee shop working on a proposal for a new client, a brewery looking to expand distribution, when her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, saw the sender's name, Vanessa Kincaid Rourke. She stared at it. The name sat there in her inbox like a bomb. She could feel her pulse in her throat. She didn't open it. Locked her phone. Went back to the proposal. Typed 3 sentences. Deleted them. Typed them again. Her hands were shaking. The phone buzzed again. Another email. Same sender. This time, she opened it. "Dear Ms. Dempsey, I hope this message finds you well. I'm reaching out on behalf of the Kincaid Foundation. We're launching a new initiative focused on supporting women-led small businesses in the Pacific Northwest, and your firm came highly recommended by several of our contacts. I'd love to discuss the possibility of DM Consulting providing operational consulting services to our portfolio companies. Would you be available for a call next week? Best regards, Vanessa Kincaid Rourke, Director, Kincaid Foundation. Iris read it twice, then a third time. The language was professional, warm even. No indication that Vanessa knew who Iris was, what she'd been to Gabriel. Just business. But the name. Kincaid Foundation. Vanessa Kincaid Rourke. She'd married him. Of course she had. Iris had known it intellectually, had assumed it. But seeing the name, seeing it official, combined, permanent, felt like a door slamming. She typed a response. Thank you for reaching out. I'd be happy to discuss this opportunity. I'm available Thursday afternoon if that works for you. Sent it. Closed her laptop. Sat there staring at her cooling coffee. Why was Vanessa reaching out? How had she heard of DM consulting? Iris had deliberately kept a low profile, had avoided anything that might connect her back to her old life. Had built this business in the shadows, serving clients who would never cross paths with Rourke and Associates. But the Kincaid Foundation was different. Howard Kincaid sat on half the boards in the country. The foundation had reach, money, influence. If they wanted to find small businesses in Portland, they could. If they wanted to vet consultants, they would. Had they vetted her? Had someone recognized her name? Had Vanessa? The questions circled. Iris paid for her coffee, packed up, drove to pick up the boys from preschool. They came running when they saw her, Jamie crashing into her legs, Theo following more slowly, holding up a painting he'd made. Blue and green smears, a sun in the corner. It's the ocean, Theo said. It's beautiful. Iris took it carefully. We'll put it on the fridge. At home, she made them lunch. Macaroni and cheese from a box, apple slices, milk. They ate at the kitchen table, Jamie talking non-stop about a game they'd played, Theo eating methodically, one piece of macaroni at a time. After lunch, she put on a movie. They curled up on the couch together, Jamie already half asleep, Theo's eyes drooping. Iris sat in the kitchen and opened her laptop. She Googled Vanessa Kincaid Rourke. The results were extensive. Society pages, charity galas. A profile in Town and Country from last year. Iris clicked on it. The photos showed a woman in her early 30s. Blonde hair, perfectly straight. High cheekbones. Wearing clothes that didn't announce their cost but didn't need to. In one photo, she stood beside Gabriel. They were at some kind of fundraiser. His hand was on her waist. She was smiling up at him. Iris studied his face. He looked the same, maybe a little older. Tiny lines around his eyes, but the same. That careful neutrality he wore in public, giving nothing away. She closed the tab, opened a new one, searched for the Kincaid Foundation. The website was sleek, professional. The mission statement talked about economic empowerment and sustainable development. The board of directors included Howard Kincaid, Vanessa Kincaid Rourke, and 6 others. No Gabriel. She clicked through to the new initiative Vanessa had mentioned. It was real. They were planning to invest in 20 women-led businesses over the next 2 years. Provide capital, mentorship, operational support. It was legitimate. This wasn't some trick. Vanessa was doing exactly what she'd said, looking for consultants. Iris closed the laptop, went to the living room. The boys were asleep on the couch, tangled together. She sat beside them, careful not to wake them. Theo stirred, shifted closer to her. She put her hand on his back, felt his small ribs expand and contract. Thursday came. Iris set up the call for 2 p.m. after the boys were down for naps. She wore a clean shirt, brushed her hair, set up her laptop at the kitchen table where the light was best. At 2:01, her phone rang. Ms. Dempsey, this is Vanessa Rourke. Her voice was smooth, confident. The kind of voice that came from good schools and family money and never having to raise it to be heard. Please, call me Iris. Iris, thank you for making time. I've been reviewing your work with Morrison Coffee in the Bindery bookstore. Really impressive results. Your approach to operational efficiency is exactly what we're looking for." They talked for 40 minutes. Vanessa outlined the initiative. Iris asked questions, took notes. It was professional. Easy, even. Vanessa laughed at one point, a genuine sound, when Iris made a comment about supply chain nightmares. Then, "I have to ask, did you work in New York? Your background suggests some high-level experience, but I couldn't find much detail online." Iris's hand tightened on her pen. "I did. Briefly. I preferred to start fresh when I moved to Portland." "I understand. New York can be intense. My husband worked there for years before we relocated to the West Coast. Well, he still works there, technically. Goes back and forth." She paused. "Actually, he might know you. Gabriel Rourke? He mentioned once that he'd worked with someone brilliant named Iris, though he never said the last name. Small world if it's you." The silence stretched. Iris could hear Theo stirring upstairs. A small sound, not quite crying. "I don't think we overlapped," Iris said. "I worked in a different sector." "Ah, well, worth asking." Vanessa's tone didn't change. "In any case, I'd love to move forward. Could you put together a proposal for how you'd approach working with our portfolio companies? We're looking at a 6-month pilot program to start." "Of course. I can have something to you by next week." "Perfect. I'm actually going to be in Portland next month for a site visit. Perhaps we could meet in person? I'd love to introduce you to some of the businesses we're considering for the program." "That would be great." They hung up. Iris sat there, phone in hand. Upstairs, Theo was definitely awake now. She could hear him calling for her. She went up. Theo was standing in his crib, hair sticking up, face creased from sleep. He reached for her. She picked him up, held him against her chest. He was getting heavy. Both boys were, growing so fast. "Mama," he said, voice still thick with sleep. "Where's Jamie?" "Still sleeping." "I'm thirsty." She carried him downstairs, got him water. He drank it standing at the kitchen table, looking at her laptop. "What's that?" he asked, pointing at the screen. "Work stuff." "Oh." He finished the water. Can we go to the park?" "In a little bit. Let's let Jamie sleep a bit longer." She sat down. Theo climbed into her lap, settling against her. She wrapped her arms around him and stared at the laptop screen, at the notes she'd taken, at Vanessa's email, still open in another tab. "My husband, Gabriel Rourke. Small world if it's you." Did Vanessa know? Was this some kind of test? Or was it exactly what it appeared to be? A coincidence, the kind that happened in industries where everyone eventually crossed paths? Iris didn't know, couldn't know. But she knew this. She couldn't turn down the opportunity out of fear. She'd built DM consulting from nothing, had clients who relied on her, had a reputation that was growing. This contract could change everything, could give her the stability she'd been chasing for 3 years. She couldn't let Gabriel Rourke take this from her too. The meeting was set for a Thursday in April at a coffee roastery in the Pearl District. Vanessa had sent an itinerary. 10 a.m., meet the roastery owners. Noon, lunch at a nearby restaurant. 2 p.m., tour of a second business, a ceramic studio. Iris arranged for her mother to watch the boys, drove to the Pearl early, parked 3 blocks away, sat in the car, checking her face in the mirror. She'd dressed carefully. Navy blazer, white shirt, dark jeans. Professional, but not trying too hard. Her hair was up. Small gold earrings, a gift from her mother when the boys were born. She looked like someone who had her life together. Almost believed it herself. At 9:55, she walked into the roastery. The smell hit her immediately. Coffee, dark and rich, mixing with something sweeter. They were baking something. The space was industrial, exposed brick, concrete floors, massive roasting equipment dominating one corner. Vanessa was already there. Blonde hair in a low ponytail, cream sweater, no jewelry except a wedding ring and a watch. She looked up when Iris entered, smiled. "Iris?" Perfect timing. She came over, extended her hand. Her grip was firm. "Thanks for driving out. I know your schedule must be insane with the boys." Iris blinked. "You know about— Oh, I hope you don't mind. I did some due diligence before we spoke. Found a feature about you in the local business journal from last year. Portland Mom Builds Consulting Empire. Twins, right? 3 years old?" "Yes." "That must be challenging. Juggling the business and parenting." "It is." Iris didn't elaborate. We changed the subject. "Should we meet the owners?" The morning went smoothly. The roastery needed help with inventory management. Iris took notes, asked questions, outlined a preliminary approach. Vanessa watched, occasionally chiming in with questions of her own. She was smart, quick, saw connections Iris hadn't articulated yet. At noon, they walked to lunch. The restaurant was small, tucked into a converted warehouse. They sat by a window overlooking the river, ordered salads, talked about the initiative, about Portland, about the differences between East Coast and West Coast business culture. "Gabriel finds it frustrating sometimes," Vanessa said, spearing a piece of arugula. "The pace here is different. Everyone wants consensus. In New York, you just make the decision and move on." "Does he spend much time here?" "Not as much as I'd like. He's still running Rourke and Associates from New York, so he flies back most weeks. We have an apartment there, but—" She shrugged. "It's complicated. We're trying to figure out the right balance." "You don't work with the company?" "God, no. I sit on the board technically, but I have no interest in that world. The foundation is my focus." She smiled. "Much more satisfying. Building things up instead of tearing competitors down." They finished lunch, walked to the ceramic studio. It was in a basement space, all cool air and dust. The owner, a woman in her 50s with clay under her fingernails, showed them around. She needed help scaling production without losing the handmade quality. Iris was making notes when she heard it. A voice, male, coming from the stairwell. "Vanessa, you down here?" Iris's pen stopped moving. She looked up. Vanessa was turning toward the stairs, face brightening. "We're in the back," Vanessa called. Footsteps. Then he appeared. Gabriel Rourke, 3 years older. Same gray-blue eyes, same careful posture, wearing jeans and a dark sweater, informal in a way that looked calculated. He was scanning the room, looking for Vanessa, and then his eyes landed on Iris. He stopped, actually stopped mid-step. His face went blank. Not shocked, he was too controlled for that, but something in his eyes changed. Recognition, confusion, something else she couldn't read. "Gabriel." Vanessa went to him, touched his arm. "I thought you weren't coming until tonight." "I finished early, thought I'd surprise you." His eyes hadn't left Iris. I didn't realize you had—" "This is Iris Dempsey, the consultant I told you about." Vanessa looked between them. "Do you two—" "We've met," Gabriel said. His voice was level. "Briefly. Years ago. Small world," Vanessa said, laughing. "I asked her if she'd worked with you. She said no." "Different departments," Iris said. She met Gabriel's eyes, held them. "It was a large company." "Right." He looked at Vanessa. "Should I wait upstairs? I don't want to interrupt." "Don't be silly. We're almost done anyway." Iris was just reviewing the production challenges. She kept talking. Iris heard the words but couldn't process them. Gabriel had moved to lean against the wall, arms crossed. He was watching her. She could feel it, the weight of his attention like a physical thing. The studio owner finished explaining her situation. The Iris somehow made appropriate responses, promised to send a proposal, shook hands. The whole time, she was aware of Gabriel, the space he took up, the way the air felt different with him in it. They walked out together, all four of them. On the sidewalk, Vanessa checked her watch. "I have a call in 20 minutes. Gabriel, could you drop Iris at her car? I'm going to head back to the hotel." "Of course." Gabriel's face showed nothing. "Where are you parked?" 3 blocks west, Iris said. "I can walk." "Don't be ridiculous. Gabriel?" He nodded. "My car's around the corner." Vanessa hugged Iris goodbye. "I'll be in touch about the contracts. This is going to be a great partnership." Then she was gone, walking away in her cream sweater, and Iris was standing on the sidewalk with Gabriel Rourke. "You don't have to drive me," she said. I know." They walked in silence. His car was a Tesla, charcoal gray, parked in a loading zone. He unlocked it. She got in. The interior smelled like leather and that same cologne, cedar and black pepper. The sense memory hit her so hard she had to close her eyes. He pulled into traffic, drove 1 block, 2, then pulled over. "What are you doing here?" he asked. "Working." "Your wife hired me." "She's not." He stopped. "Vanessa doesn't know about us." "There was no us." "Iris, don't." She turned to look at him. He'd aged. The lines around his eyes were deeper. There was gray at his temples that hadn't been there before. "Don't say my name like that. Like we're old friends. Like you didn't." "I tried to find you. After you left New York. I called. I reached out. You disappeared. I needed to disappear. Why? Because I hurt you? Because I chose Vanessa?" "You could have." "I was pregnant." The words landed. Gabriel's hands tightened on the steering wheel. His knuckles went white. "What?" "I found out 6 weeks after I left. I was pregnant, with twins, your sons." He turned to face her. "Iris, if I had known, you would have done what? Left Vanessa? Married me instead?" "Bullshit." She laughed. It came out harsh. "You made your choice. I made mine." "Where are they? Where are the children?" "With my mother. They're 3 years old. Their names are Jamie and Theo, and they're not yours. They're mine." "I have a right." "You have nothing. You signed away any rights when you told me you loved someone else." "I didn't know. And I'm not telling you now because I want anything from you. I'm telling you so there are no surprises. So you can decide whether you want to torpedo your wife's foundation initiative by telling her you knocked up your former chief of staff." She opened the car door. "I'm parked a block from here. I'll walk." "Iris, wait." She got out, slammed the door, walked away without looking back. Her hands were shaking. Her whole body was shaking. She got to her car, fumbled with the keys, finally got the door open. Inside, she locked the doors, sat there. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "We need to talk about this." She blocked it, started the car, drove home on autopilot, her vision blurring. At home, her mother was in the living room with the boys. They were building a fort out of couch cushions. Jamie saw her first, came running. "Mama, look what we made." She scooped him up, held him tight. Then Theo came over, quieter. Annie and she pulled him in too. Both of them. Her arms barely fit around them anymore. Her mother appeared in the doorway, took one look at Iris's face and said, "Boys, why don't you show Grandma your fort?" They ran off. Her mother stepped closer. "What happened?" "He was there. Gabriel. He's married to the woman who hired me." "Oh, honey, he knows now. About the boys. I told him." Her mother pulled her into a hug. Iris stood there, shaking, trying not to fall apart. Through the doorway, she could see Jamie and Theo in their fort. Theo was reading a book to Jamie, making up the words because he couldn't actually read yet. Jamie was listening with his whole body, leaning into his brother. They looked like Gabriel, Both of them, the same eyes, the same tilt to their heads when they were concentrating. She'd known it intellectually, he had seen it every day, but having Gabriel right there, seeing them side by side in her mind, the resemblance was as undeniable. "What are you going to do?" her mother asked. "Nothing." "What can I do?" He made his choice 3 years ago. "What about the contract with the foundation?" "I don't know." Iris pulled back, wiped her eyes. "I don't know." Her phone buzzed again. Another unknown number, another text. "Please, just talk to me. 5 minutes." She turned off her phone. The proposal for the Kincaid Foundation took her 3 days to write. She worked late into the nights after the boys were asleep, outlining services, pricing, timelines, made it professional. Airtight. The best work she'd done in years. She sent it to Vanessa on Monday morning, got a response 3 hours later. "This is exactly what we need. Can we schedule a call to discuss next steps?" They spoke on Tuesday. Vanessa was enthusiastic, asking detailed questions about implementation. No mention of Gabriel. No indication that anything had changed. At the end of the call, she said, "I'd like to move forward. I'll have our lawyer draft the contract. We should be able to get you started by next month." "That sounds great," Iris said. "Oh, and Gabriel mentioned he knew you. Said you were one of the sharpest people he'd worked with. That's high praise from him." Iris said nothing. "Anyway," Vanessa continued, "I'm excited about this partnership. I think you're going to make a real difference for these businesses." They hung up. Iris sat there, staring at her notes. Gabriel had talked to Vanessa, had endorsed her, had said nothing about the boys. Her phone rang. Unknown number, but she let it go to voicemail. An hour later, there was a message. "Iris, it's Gabriel. I know you don't want to talk to me, but we need to discuss the situation. I'm not trying to. I just want to understand. Please call me back." She deleted it. That weekend, she took the boys to the zoo. It was a perfect spring day, clear and warm. They saw the elephants, the penguins, the lions sleeping in the sun. Jamie ran from exhibit to exhibit. Theo held her hand, asking questions about each animal. What did they eat? Where did they sleep? Were they happy? "I don't know if they're happy," Iris said. "They're safe here. They have food and vets who take care of them, but they can't go where they want." "Like a prison?" "Kind of. But a nice prison." Theo considered this. I wouldn't like that." "Me neither." They were at the penguin exhibit when she saw him. Gabriel, standing about 20 feet away, watching them. He was alone, wearing jeans and a jacket. He looked out of place. Too polished, too carefully put together for a Saturday at the zoo. Iris's first instinct was to grab the boys and leave. But Jamie had just started watching the penguins dive, and she wouldn't let Gabriel disrupt their day. She ignored him, focused on the boys, pointed out the smallest penguin, the one that kept slipping on the rocks. Jamie laughed. Theo pressed against the glass, his breath fogging it. Then Gabriel was beside them. Theo looked up at him, curious. Jamie was still watching the penguins. "Hi," Gabriel said. To Theo. His voice was careful. "I'm Gabriel." Theo leaned into Iris's leg. Hi. "Do you like the penguins?" "They're okay. I like the elephants better." "Me too." Gabriel glanced at Iris. She looked straight ahead. "I used to come to the zoo when I was little. My favorite was always the polar bears." "We haven't seen those yet," Theo said. "They're on the other side of the park." "We should go," Iris said. "Come on, boys." "But I want to see the polar bears," Jamie said, finally turning around. He looked at Gabriel, went very still. They stared at each other. Jamie with Gabriel's eyes. Gabriel with Jamie's eyes. The same shade. The same shape. The resemblance was so obvious it hurt. "Who's that?" Jamie asked. "A friend," Gabriel said before Iris could answer. "An old friend of your mom's." "Oh." Jamie lost interest. "Can we get ice cream?" "After the polar bears," Iris said. They walked. Gabriel fell into step beside them. Iris wanted to tell him to leave, but the boys were between them and she didn't want to make a scene. Didn't want them to see her upset. At the polar bear exhibit, the boys pressed against the glass. The bears were swimming, their white bodies moving through green water. Gabriel stood next to Iris, close enough that she could smell his cologne. "How did you find us?" she asked quietly. "Your mother's address is on your business registration. I drove by, saw your car leaving, followed you." "That's creepy." "I know. I'm sorry. I needed to see them." "You've seen them. Now leave." "Iris, they're my sons." "No, they're mine. You made it clear 3 years ago that you had other priorities." "I didn't know. It doesn't matter. You chose Vanessa. You chose that life. I'm not going to let you disrupt ours because you suddenly feel guilty." One of the polar bears surfaced near the glass. Jamie shrieked with delight. Theo jumped back, startled, then laughed. "They're beautiful," Gabriel said. "They look like you." "But they have I know what they have." Iris's voice was hard. "I've looked at them every day for 3 years. I know exactly who they look like. I want to be part of their lives." "No. Iris, no. You don't get to do this. You don't get to show up and decide you want to play father. You're married. You have a life. Keep it separate from mine. I'll tell Vanessa." "About what?" "That you had an affair with your employee? That you have children you didn't know about? Go ahead. See how that works out for you." He flinched. The boys were arguing about which bear was bigger. Our Theo was insisting they were the same size. Jamie was adamant that one was clearly larger. "I'm not trying to hurt you," Gabriel said. "I'm trying to, I don't know, make this right. You can't. It's been 3 years. You missed everything. First steps, first words, their first everything. You can't buy that back." "I know. Then what do you want?" He looked at the boys. His expression was something Iris had never seen before. Open, raw. "I want to know them. I want them to know me. Even if it's just, I don't know, occasional, something." "Why? Because you feel obligated? Because you think it's the right thing to do? Because they're mine. They're not yours. You need to understand that. Biology doesn't make you a father. Being there makes you a father, and you weren't there." The polar bears dove, disappeared into the green water. The boys waited for them to resurface. Gabriel and Iris stood in silence. "I can help," he said finally. "Financially. I don't want your money. For them, college funds, healthcare, anything they need. They have everything they need. Iris, please, let me do something." She looked at him. Really looked. He seemed smaller somehow. Less certain. The man who'd sat across from her in that conference room 3 years ago had been untouchable. Immaculate in his control. This man looked lost. "I'll think about it," she said. The boys wanted ice cream. They walked to the zoo cafe. Iris bought them cones, chocolate for Jamie, vanilla for Theo, and they sat at a picnic table. Gabriel sat across from them. The boys ate their ice cream, getting it all over their faces. Theo offered Gabriel a lick. Gabriel took it, said it was delicious. "Mate, are you really Mama's friend?" Jamie asked. "I am," Gabriel said. "Where do you live?" "In New York, and here, sometimes." "Do you have kids?" Gabriel's eyes flicked to Iris. "No, I don't." "Oh." Jamie went back to his ice cream. "We have a grandma. She's nice." "Do you have a grandma?" "I did. She died when I was young." "That's sad." "It is." They finished their ice cream. Iris wiped their faces with napkins. Time to go. The boys protested, but she was firm. They had dinner to make. Baths. Bedtime. Gabriel walked them to the parking lot. At her car, he crouched down to the boy's level. "It was really nice to meet you," he said. "Bye," Jamie said, already climbing into his car seat. Theo hung back. "Will we see you again?" "I hope so." "Okay." Theo smiled. Small. Shy. Then he got in the car. Iris closed the door, turned to Gabriel. "You don't follow us again." "I won't. But Iris, I meant what I said. I want to help. I'll think about it." She got in the car, drove away. In the rearview mirror, she saw him standing there, watching them leave. That night after the boys were asleep, she sat on the porch. Her mother came out, handed her a beer. "Want to talk about it?" "He showed up at the zoo." "How did he?" "Followed us." Her mother sat down. "What did he want?" "To see them. To be involved." Iris took a drink. "He wants to help. Money. Whatever they need." "What do you want?" "I don't know." She stared at the street. A car passed, someone walking a dog. "I want him to have stayed in New York. I want him to have never existed. I want—" She stopped. "I don't know what I want." "Do you still love him?" Iris didn't answer for a long time. I don't think I ever really did. I loved the idea of him, the person I thought he could be. But that person doesn't exist. And now? Now I have the boys. And my business. And a life that works. I don't need him to complicate that. But he's here. He's not going away. I know. They sat in silence. Inside, through the window, Iris could see the boys' bedroom door. A small nightlight glowing. They were safe in there. Dreaming. Unaware of how complicated their lives were about to become. The contract from the Kincaid Foundation arrived 2 weeks later. Iris read it carefully. The terms were generous. 6 months, renewable. Enough money to hire help. To expand. To build DM Consulting into something sustainable. She signed it. The first portfolio company was the coffee roastery. Iris spent 3 days there, mapping workflows, interviewing staff. It was good work, satisfying. The kind of problem-solving she loved. Gabriel didn't contact her. No calls, no texts, no showing up unannounced. She should have been relieved. Instead, she felt like she was waiting for something. A shoe to drop. A bomb to explode. It came in June. An invitation. The Kincaid Foundation's annual gala being held in Portland this year. Black tie. The invitation was addressed to her personally. A +1 was included. She almost didn't go, but Vanessa called. "I really hope you'll be there. I want to introduce you to some of our major donors. It could lead to more work." Iris said yes. She bought a dress. Black. Simple. More than she usually spent, but justified as a business expense. Got her hair done. Felt ridiculous. She hadn't dressed up like this since New York, since Gabriel, till her mother stayed with the boys. Iris drove to the venue, a hotel ballroom downtown, and handed her keys to a valet. Inside, the space was transformed. White flowers everywhere. String lights. Round tables with gold-rimmed plates. She checked in, got a name tag, took a glass of champagne from a passing server. The room was filling. Women in gowns, men in tuxedos, the kind of wealth that moved quietly, that didn't need to announce itself. Vanessa found her within 10 minutes. "You look stunning. Come on, there's someone I want you to meet." She pulled Iris through the crowd, introduced her to a donor who ran a venture capital firm. They talked about operational efficiency, about scaling. The donor was interested, gave Iris his card. Then the lights dimmed. A voice asked everyone to take their seats. Iris found her table, number 7, near the front. 5 other people were already seated. She recognized one, the ceramic studio owner. The 6th seat was empty. Until Gabriel arrived. He sat down across from her. They made eye contact. He nodded. She looked away. Dinner was served. Iris barely tasted it. She was aware of Gabriel across the table. He was talking to the person next to him, laughing at something, playing the part, but she caught him looking at her. Once. Twice. After dinner, Vanessa took the stage, talked about the Foundation's mission, introduced several of the portfolio companies, including the roastery and the ceramic studio, thanked the donors, then, "I also want to recognize someone who's been instrumental in making this initiative a success. Iris Dempsey, could you stand?" Iris stood. The room applauded. She felt her face heat. I sat down as quickly as possible. After the speeches, people mingled. Iris went to the bar, got water. Gabriel appeared beside her. "Congratulations," he said. "For what?" "The recognition. You've done good work." "Thanks." They stood in silence. The bartender was making drinks for other guests. The noise of the party swirled around them. "I've been thinking," Gabriel said, "about what you said. About not being there. Gabriel, I want to set up a trust. For the boys. For their future. College. Whatever they need. No strings. You don't have to acknowledge me. I just want them to have. I said I'd think about it. It's been a month, and I'm still thinking. Iris, please, let me do this one thing." She looked at him. He looked tired. Older than he had at the zoo. There were shadows under his eyes. "Why?" she asked. "Why does this matter so much to you?" "Because they're mine. Because He stopped. "Because I can't stop thinking about them. About what I missed. About what I'm still missing. You chose that. You chose Vanessa. I know. So live with it. I am. But that doesn't mean I can't try to... To what? Ease your guilt? Make yourself feel better? Maybe. Yes. Is that so wrong? Yes." She set her water down. "Because it's not about you. It's about them. And what they need. And what they need is stability. Consistency. Not some part-time father who shows up when it's convenient. I'm not asking to be their father." "Then what are you asking?" He didn't answer. Someone called his name. They both turned. Vanessa was coming over, smiling. "There you are. Gabriel. Senator Morrison is asking about the New York expansion. Can you..." She looked between them. "Am I interrupting?" "No," Iris said. "We were just catching up." "Old colleagues," Vanessa said, smiling. "It's so nice when people stay connected." She linked her arm through Gabriel's. "Come on. The senator's been drinking and you know how he gets." They walked away. Iris watched them go. Watched Vanessa lean into Gabriel. Watched him put his hand on her back. The gesture was automatic. Familiar. They moved together like people who'd been doing it for years. Iris left the party early. Drove home in silence. At home, her mother was asleep on the couch. Iris paid her, thanked her. Checked on the boys. They were tangled together in Theo's bed, Jamie's arm thrown over his brother's chest. She stood in the doorway watching them breathe. They were hers. Only hers, and maybe that was enough. But the next morning her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. "Iris, it's Howard Kincaid, Vanessa's father." She sat up. "Mr. Kincaid, how can I help you? I wanted to talk to you about Gabriel Rourke." Her blood went cold. "I'm sorry. I know about the children. Gabriel told me. I wanted to discuss how we handle this moving forward." "There's nothing to handle. Gabriel and I have no relationship. The children are mine." "I understand that. But they're also his. And he wants to be involved." "He has no right." "Legally, he has every right. But I'm not calling to threaten you. I'm calling because I want to find a solution that works for everyone." "What kind of solution?" "Gabriel wants to set up a trust. I think that's reasonable. I also think the boys should know who their father is. When they're older. When it makes sense. And what does Vanessa think about all this? Silence. Then, Vanessa doesn't know. Yet. Gabriel is planning to tell her, but he wanted to get things in order first. Make sure you were taken care of. I don't need to be taken care of. I know. Vanessa speaks very highly of you, but the boys do need to be taken care of. And Gabriel can do that. Will do that. With or without your cooperation. Is that a threat? It's a fact. He could pursue custody. Visitation. Make this very public and very complicated. Or you could let him help quietly. Set up the trust. Give him occasional access. Let him be part of their lives in a limited way. Iris felt like the walls were closing in. I need to think about this. Of course. But Iris, think quickly. Gabriel is trying to do the right thing here. I don't make it harder than it needs to be. He hung up. Iris sat there, phone in hand. The boys were in the living room, watching cartoons. Jamie was dancing. Theo was building with blocks. She called her mother, told her everything. Her mother listened, then said, "You need a lawyer." "I can't afford. I'll help. We'll figure it out. But you need someone on your side. Someone who can protect your rights." Iris found a lawyer through a referral. Met with her the next day. A woman in her 50s named Diane who specialized in family law. She listened to Iris's story without interrupting. "He has a case," Diane said when Iris finished. "If he wants custody or visitation, he can file. As the biological father, he has rights. The question is how much he pushes for and how hard you push back. I don't want him in their lives." "I understand. But that might not be your choice. Oregon courts favor parental involvement. If he can prove he's stable, that he wants to be involved, they'll likely grant him something." "Even though he abandoned us?" "He didn't know about them. That makes it complicated. If he'd known and chosen not to be involved, that would be different. But he has a reasonable excuse." Iris felt sick. "So what do I do?" "Negotiate. Figure out what you can live with. Supervised visits, maybe. Limited contact. In exchange, he sets up the trust, agrees not to pursue full custody. And if I don't negotiate? Then he files, and we go to court. And you spend months, maybe years, fighting this. And the boys get caught in the middle." Iris left the office feeling hollowed out. She'd built this life, this safe, stable life, and now it was all unraveling. That night, she called Gabriel. He answered on the second ring. "I'll agree to the trust," she said, "and to limited contact, supervised once a month. In exchange, you don't pursue custody. You don't tell the boys you're their father until they're old enough to understand. And you keep this separate from your life with Vanessa." "Iris, those are my terms. Take them or leave them." Silence. Then, "I'll take them. I'll have my lawyer draw up the agreement. Thank you." She hung up. Sat there in the dark. The boys were asleep. The house was quiet. She'd won. Sort of, but it didn't feel like winning. The first supervised visit happened 2 weeks later, at a park near Iris's house. Gabriel arrived 10 minutes early. Iris was already there with the boys. He brought a soccer ball, kicked it with Jamie while Theo sat on a bench, for reading a book Iris had brought. After 20 minutes, Theo put down the book and joined them. Gabriel showed him how to dribble. Was patient when Theo kept tripping over his own feet. Iris watched from another bench. Diane had advised her to stay present, but distant. Let them interact. Don't hover. It was harder than she'd expected. Watching Gabriel with them. Watching them laugh at something he said. Watching Jamie grab his hand, pulling him toward the swings. An hour later, time was up. Gabriel crouched down, said goodbye. The boys waved, ran back to Iris. "He's nice," Jamie said. "Can we see him again?" "Maybe," Iris said. The visits became routine. Once a month, sometimes at the park, sometimes at a museum or the zoo. Iris was always there, always watching, but gradually she started to relax. Gabriel was good with them. Gentle. Her patient. He didn't try to buy their affection. Didn't push. 3 months in, Vanessa found out. Iris got the call on a Thursday night. Vanessa's voice was cold. "I need to speak with you. In person." They met at a coffee shop. Vanessa was already there when Iris arrived. No smile, no warmth. "You lied to me," Vanessa said. "I never lied. You let me hire you, knowing you had a history with my husband, knowing you had his children. You hired me because I'm good at my job. My personal life is irrelevant. Is it? Because it seems pretty fucking relevant now." They stared at each other. The coffee shop was nearly empty, jazz playing on the speakers. Iris thought about leaving, walking out, but she needed to hear this. "How long have you known?" Vanessa asked. "That you were married to him?" Since you first contacted me. And you didn't think to mention it? What was I supposed to say? By the way, I used to work for your husband and we had a complicated relationship? Yes, exactly that. Would you have hired me? Vanessa looked away. Probably not. Then you have your answer. Gabriel told me he didn't know about the boys, that you left New York and disappeared. That's true. Why didn't you tell him? Because it wasn't his business. He'd made his choice. I made mine. Vanessa laughed, bitter. God, you're so... She stopped. Do you know how humiliating this is? Finding out my husband has children with someone else? That he's been secretly visiting them? I didn't ask him to visit. He pushed for it. Of course he did. Because they're his. And Gabriel doesn't walk away from things that belong to him. The words hung there. Iris felt something shift. I'm sorry, she said. I'm sorry you found out this way. But I didn't do this to hurt you. Didn't you? Even a little? No. I did this to survive, to build a life for my sons. You were collateral damage. Vanessa stood. I'm terminating your contract with the foundation. Effective immediately. You can't. I can. And I am. You'll be paid for work completed, but we're done. She walked out. Iris sat there, numb. She'd expected this, had known it might happen, but the reality of it, losing the contract, losing the stability, hit hard. She called Gabriel that night. Vanessa fired me. I know, I'm sorry. Fix it. I can't. This is hard for her. She needs time. I don't have time. That contract was supposed to sustain my business for the next year. I'll pay you. Whatever you would have made, I don't want your money. I want you to fix this. Iris, I can't make her hire you back. She's hurt, angry. I'm trying to manage the situation. Manage it faster. She hung up, spent the next week in a panic, reached out to other clients, looked for new work. Her mother lent her money to cover the mortgage. She was spiraling. Then Vanessa called. I've thought about it, she said, and I'm not going to let my personal feelings destroy your business. What does that mean? It means I'm reinstating the contract, with conditions. What conditions? You work exclusively with the portfolio companies. No direct contact with me or Gabriel. All communication goes through my assistant, and you sign an NDA. Everything related to this situation stays confidential. Done. And Iris? If you ever lie to me again, about anything, you're done. Not just with the foundation. I'll make sure no one in this city works with you. Understood. They hung up. Iris sat there shaking. She'd kept the contract, kept the business. But at what cost? 6 months later, the boys turned 4. Iris threw them a party. Small. Just a few kids from preschool. Her mother. Cake and balloons and chaos. Gabriel showed up. Iris hadn't invited him, but he'd asked to come. The boys were excited to see him. ran to him. He brought presents, a bike for each of them, nothing excessive, just right. He helped set up games, played with the kids, helped clean up after. When the last guest left, when her mother took the boys inside for baths, Gabriel stayed. "Thank you," he said, "for letting me be here. They like you. I'm not going to keep them from someone who makes them happy, even if that person is me." Even then. They stood on the porch, evening settling in. The boys' laughter carried from inside. "I told Vanessa I want a divorce," Gabriel said. Iris looked at him. "What? I can't keep doing this. Pretending. I'm not in love with her. I don't think I ever was. I married her because it made sense. Because it was what everyone expected. Don't do this because of the boys. I'm not. I'm doing it because I'm miserable. Because I've been miserable for years. The boys just made me see it clearly. When? I told her last week. We're figuring out the details. It'll be quiet. Amicable." How did she take it? Better than I expected. I think she knew. We've been living parallel lives for a while now. Iris didn't know what to say. The door opened. Theo came out, wrapped in a towel. "Mama, Jamie splashed water everywhere." "Of course he did. Go tell Grandma I'll be right there." Theo ran back inside. Gabriel watched him go. "They're amazing," he said. "You did an incredible job." "Thanks. I know I don't have the right to ask this, but could I see them more? More than once a month? I'm moving to Portland, full-time. I want to be here." Iris thought about it, about what the boys needed, about what she could live with. "We'll try twice a month," she said. "See how it goes." "Thank you." He left. Iris went inside. The boys were in their pajamas, watching TV. She sat between them. They leaned into her. "Mama?" Theo said. "Yeah? Is Gabriel our dad?" Iris's breath caught. "Ah, why do you ask?" "Jamie said he looks like us, and he comes to visit a lot." She looked at Jamie. He was staring at the TV, pretending not to listen. "He is," she said, "but it's complicated." "Why?" "Because he didn't know about you when you were born. And I raised you by myself. So I'm your parent. But he's your dad too. Does that make sense?" Theo thought about it. "I guess. Are you mad at him?" "Sometimes. But not right now." "Do you love him?" The question hit her. She looked at the TV, thought about Gabriel, about everything that had happened, about 3 years of raising these boys alone, about the visits, about the trust fund she'd finally agreed to, about watching him with them at the party. "I don't know," she said, "but I love you too. That's what matters." "Okay," Theo said, satisfied. He went back to the TV. Aunt Jamie looked at her. "Can we call him Dad?" "If you want to. If he's okay with it." "I think I want to." "Okay then." They sat there, the 3 of them, her family, imperfect and complicated in hers. 2 years later, Iris stood in the backyard of a new house, not hers, Gabriel's. He'd bought it 6 months ago, close to her place, close enough that the boys could walk. It was Jamie and Theo's 6th birthday. Gabriel had insisted on hosting, had set up a bouncy castle and hired a magician. The boys were running around with their friends, faces painted, screaming with joy. Vanessa was there. She and Gabriel had finalized the divorce a year ago. She'd moved back to New York, but she'd stayed in touch, was still running the foundation, still working with Iris occasionally, though their relationship was professional. Polite. Nothing more. Gabriel appeared beside Iris, holding 2 beers. Offered her one. "Thanks," she said. They watched the chaos. The magician was pulling a rabbit from a hat. The kids were losing their minds. "This is good," Gabriel said. "Loud, but good." "Yeah, thank you for," he gestured vaguely, "for this, for letting me be part of it. They're your kids too, I know. But you could have made it impossible. You didn't. I tried to make it impossible. You didn't let me. He laughed. Fair point. Theo ran up, grabbed Gabriel's hand. Dad, come see. The magician wants a volunteer. I'll be right there. Theo ran off. Gabriel looked at Iris. He called me Dad. He does that now. They both do. I know. It still surprises me sometimes. You've earned it. Have I? You're here. That's what matters. He nodded. Started to walk away. Stopped. I turned back. Iris? I know we'll never be what I thought we might be. Back in New York. But I want you to know. I'm glad you're in my life. Even like this. She looked at him. At this man who'd shattered her. Who'd put her back together without meaning to. Who'd given her the two best things in her life. Me too, she said. He smiled. Walked toward the kids. Iris watched him go. Watched him scoop up Jamie, who was running past. Watched Theo grab his other hand. Watched them pull him toward the magician. Her mother appeared beside her. You okay? Yeah, I'm good. He's trying. I know. Do you think you'll ever— No, that door's closed. Her mother nodded. Okay, as long as you're sure. Iris watched Gabriel, watched him laugh at something Jamie said, watched the way he looked at the boys. Like they were everything. I'm sure, she said. This is enough. And it was. The boys, the business, this strange, fractured family they'd built. It wasn't what she'd imagined, but it was real. It was hers. And it was enough. The sun was setting. Gold light spilling across the yard. The kids were slowing down, getting tired, sugar crashes incoming. Iris smiled, started gathering trash, preparing for the cleanup. Behind her, she heard Jamie yell, "Mama, watch this." She turned. He was on Gabriel's shoulders, arms spread wide. Theo was tugging on Gabriel's shirt, demanding his turn. "I'm watching," she called back. And she was. Watching all of it. The mess. The joy. The complicated, imperfect life they'd made. She was watching, and for the first time in 6 years, she wasn't afraid of what came next. Dear friends, as we close Iris's chapter, remember this. The life you rebuild after devastation doesn't have to look like the one you lost. It just has to be authentically yours. Like Iris, you have the strength to stand alone while remaining open to unexpected grace. May you find courage in her story, wisdom in her choices, and hope in her hard-won peace. Now here's my challenge to you, and I genuinely believe you're up for it. If this story made you feel something, if Iris's journey resonated with even one moment in your own life, if you found yourself rooting for her or understanding Gabriel's regret, then honor that feeling. Hit that like button not as a formality, but as a way of saying, I see you, Iris. I see me in you. Subscribe because you believe stories like this, raw, honest, complicated, deserve to be told. And here's the real dare. Drop a comment telling me one word that describes how this story made you feel. Just one word. I'll read every single one, because your emotional truth matters just as much as Iris's. You stayed with her through 71 floors down and 6 years up. Don't leave without leaving your mark. I believe you will.